Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's Virtual Book Club Live. It's our is it 5th anniversary or 5th birthday or year 5? I don't know. I don't know what to call it.
I would probably go with anniversary.
Yeah, anniversary.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's our 5th anniversary.
You want to sound even more impressive? It's starting the 6th year.
Oh my gosh.
The second half of the decade. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, we're starting the 6th year of Virtual Book Club. This book club has been around since that global pandemic. And yeah, I don't know how it lasted this long, but it's surely because people joined. And, I made it a goal to show up once a week. We don't do that anymore. But I bet Hal and Ference could because they read like a book a week. But, just as normal folks, we like to read a book a month. And then we show up to our virtual book club, which is just in this room, in this studio. And we bring our own snacks.
You got to have your priorities.
Yeah, you bring your own snacks. I'm kind of upset because, part of the fun of going to a virtual book or a book club in general is like the snacks. But
I would lean toward the beverages if it was in person, but
oh yeah, that would be really cool. Like, what if we had I have a sommelier friend. Yeah, no, and there's this restaurant here in Calgary. It's called Fine Print, and it's like set up for a book club. The menu, everything. The mocktails are called Fake News. The entrees are called Plot. Um, the appetizers are called Forward. And it's just like a whole theme. They have this really old typewriter, and then there's actually a secret speakeasy underneath, which isn't so secret anymore. Is it now?
apparently not.
Yeah, you press the R or something on the typewriter and the door opens. It's crazy stuff. No, but that's where, if we were all in the same city, that's where I would hold it, I think. At least like once a year on an anniversary.
Yeah, if it was in person, it would need to be,
A special one, yeah.
well, it would, but if we were to, if I were to do a book club in person, for me, it would need to be something after hours, because it just seems like, if I'm going to be in, socializing in a room full of people, talking about books, I'm going to need a beverage in my hand.
Yeah, I mean, we've never really tried that. What about you, Ference? Like, it's evening, it's cocktail time for you. And in Spain, do you ever have a beverage?
Here it's always beer time. That's the good news.
Nice.
But yeah, I could have a drink. I don't because I will fall asleep if I do. So I'm just going with the water today.
Yeah, a book club problems. Yeah, I don't know if I could. I'm pretty borderline as it is when I'm sober and not drinking. So I don't know what would happen like at night. Would I be able to even remember what I read or
I'd be
what.
more worried about remembering what I said the next day.
I mean, it could be funny. It could be really funny. Yeah. Well, maybe next year we'll hold well, okay, let's it wouldn't ever work because it would
No.
always be morning for somebody.
Or it
Fair.
would be too late in the evening for.
Yeah, it'd be like too late in the evening. Yeah. So, I guess this book club started because it was the pandemic and, we were social distancing and sheltering in and all that jazz. And the summer came and went, and everyone golfed and did like outdoor things, and things started to relax. But then they told us, like, um, I mean, it was different everywhere. I think I was in Houston at the time. Um, so I can't remember. Like, it was like you couldn't have gatherings that were larger than a certain number of people, and you could only have in Canada. You could only have one friend that came over. Like, you could only see one friend, so you all had to choose a friend. So like things are crazy, and I think I started to do these check-in calls with my friends because we were like, I was like in Houston, I knew nobody except for like my husband, and I started to do check-ins, and I think I called them like COVID check-ins, and it was on Zoom, and then that morphed into book club because I had to put my golf clubs away, and I was like, well, what do I do when I put my golf clubs away? I usually, start reading. Like, that's what I love about winter months is like the reading and um, fireplace, and the rest is history. Um, I don't know. Like, tell me what your thoughts were when you guys joined.
I'm trying to think. I know it was 2022 because I keep records of what I read, mostly from the standpoint that I'll see a book I want to read, but I read that one, and I'll go back and find out. That's why it sounds so familiar. I read it, or something like that. So I started just tagging the ones that were virtual book club ones, so I know back it was 2022. um, and I think it was because of the fact that I know Robert Berry. If I had to try to think back, and Robert was more actively participating back then, and so I think I said sure, give it a try, and I've stuck with it ever since, and have enjoyed it tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, you often say that you read books that you would have never picked up otherwise. So that's kind of fun.
Yep,
That
absolutely.
is true. And that happens, I think, to all of us because everyone gets to choose some items. We all end up reading something that's good, usually, but not necessarily our first choice, which is nice because otherwise we would be sitting in a nice and comfortable bubble reading all the two types of book that we like the most. And as comfortable that is, it's also a bit sad and narrow minded. So, yeah, really good.
Yeah, no, I like those rules. We have very democratic rules, don't we? I don't know where um the part where you can't. Okay, what we do is we recommend books, but you can't choose your own book when you vote. And so I wonder. Oh, no worries, Michelle. Thanks for coming by. I thought it was just gonna be us three, and then you arrived. So thank you.
It
I'm
was. I
happy
think
anniversary.
it was my idea. I think it was. About not when we nominate books, that when we put in the nominees to a vote, that you don't vote for your own, because I didn't want the situation where we all nominate a book, we all vote for the one we
Oh,
nominated, and then
right.
you got what did you accomplish?
Yeah. Okay. So it's just a numbers game.
So it's a way to make sure that people are, so we get some diversity in numbers, because otherwise it would be, unless somebody really came up with a book and go, I'm sorry I nominated mine because I really, really like that one better. Why would you not vote for your own nomination? So,
Right. Yeah. So one of the rules is that you nominate a book, but you can't nominate or you can't vote for your own book. So we always we always end up with like a really good number. There's been a few times where um people got to play tiebreaker, and man, what a rush that is.
And if
I
you
think,
really
I
want to
think
be
that,
slick, you can infiltrate and get someone else to like the same author that you love, and then you get
Oh,
to vote for something you like, and then you plant a seed. You say, "Hey, Hal, I want to listen and watch and read another Kate Quinn book. Can we do it?" And then we conspire. That doesn't really happen.
yes. Yes, I saw how you did that, and I thought it was great.
well, one thing I think that, I'm doing now behind the scenes, because, is that, when we added this logic behind it, that if you're a more consistent participant, your vote should count more than
Right.
someone who hasn't participated for 2 months. Now, of course, they should be able to vote.
Of
They should
course,
be able to nominate. They should be able to vote, but I'm not sure their vote should count as
as
much as
much.
someone. And so that has, keeping that in the background. So if you attended both meetings in the month prior, then your vote counts as 3. If you attended one, your vote counts as 2. And if you didn't attend any that month, then the next vote, your vote counts as 1. And that has helped increase the diversity in the scores, where a tie is becoming less likely.
Oh, I see. As we go along here, my vote is gonna count more. Whoa, whoa, these things are getting exciting. Hey, guys, we make the policies ourselves, and then we defend them. There
Now
is a
we're gonna,
reason.
we're gonna end up with a fairly simple decision for the December book if no one else nominates anything other than the one I nominated.
Oh, that's true. I better go do that. Okay.
So, um, yeah,
Yeah, if
because
anyone has a sorry, it's a
no,
fiction, right?
oh, that's it.
It's a fiction in December, and so if um, anyone would like to put the bug in my ear, I'd be willing to consider. The thing I love about book club is that we have like good drama, fun drama. Why is it that I've been asking everyone, Michelle, like why they joined and what keeps them coming back? So I want to hear what Farron says, like how he like I don't even know how he like caught on to book club or how he found it.
Yes, so I was commenting on a post from someone, Kelly Paxton. Yes, Kelly Paxton's post many
Oh,
years ago, and then you replied to my comment, and then magic happened, and I ended up here, and I couldn't leave since that. So
we
that
held
sounds
him
like
captive. He's kind of got Stockholm syndrome. We just promised more books.
Yeah, but really good. I joined in a good. Anytime is good to join, but I joined in a time when the books you chose sounded interesting to me. Uh, I think it was around Chip War, 2023, more or
Wow.
less. Uh, and yes, the majority of the books are amazing. And also I love that we have all the different perspectives because we are different
Yeah.
people with different backgrounds, different places where we live, different experiences. So even if we read the exact same chapter, we can think of 4 absolutely different things, which is nice.
Yeah, I love that. Perspectives. It's like I don't know. We're a small group, but we get a very wide array of perspectives. How about you, Michelle?
Oh, yes. I believe that you invited me. And I was like, well, let's see. I'm going to go check it out. And then I was like, oh, this is fun. And then I just kept coming. And now I really just super enjoy all of you. And I put it in my calendar and block it so it's a priority. And I think that's the difference. It's like I look forward to it. It's in the afternoon when right after lunch, and it's easy to book in advance and just say this is my time, and I really appreciate it. So it's been cool to learn and read things. And sometimes when I can't get to the book, I like that I can still come and listen and maybe listen to a review someone else has done of the book, so I get the gist of it. And yeah, it's easy and it's lovely, and all of you are lovely. And sometimes you get to meet people in person, which is also lovely.
Oh, right. Yeah, let's talk about that. I actually met Michelle and Hal in the same trip. It was earlier this year, um, in spring, and Michelle and I had a conference in Orlando, and Hal's in Florida. So we had like an adventure. We had a kind of like an improv. Oh, I don't want to make you feel left out, Ference. But we
Okay.
had like an improv breakfast brunch slash book club meeting.
Nice.
What? And then we went to Hal's favorite independent used bookstore. It was dreamy. So disorganized. Hal had this list of like 150 books. What do you remember about that, Michelle?
I think my favorite part was I keep bringing this up, but the fact that I was searching and searching for Kate Quinn, and it turns out her books were behind a red rack of books, and that we had to slide it aside to get it, and made it like clandestine that we were looking for these books that were not for public viewing, but really they were just hidden behind another rack of books. So it was kind of fun. That and just kind of seeing the variety of stuff they had was really neat.
I
Yeah.
thought for sure, Michelle, you were going to say your favorite part of the whole experience was the homeless guy in Walgreens.
Oh, there goes the cackle. I'm sorry, but yes. So it turns out that Benita is a dear, dear soul, and she loves everybody equally, and she does not discriminate. And we noticed that sometimes maybe we should be a little more discriminating, but it was okay. It was safe. We had Hal to protect us, and
Hey,
yes,
no,
her heart is good.
he was looking for a deal. He
Yeah,
wasn't
yes,
asking for handouts. He was looking for a
yeah,
deal. And I was
yeah.
like, I don't care if you're housed or unhoused. I'll make deals with you. Like, let's hear your deal.
I can't remember what the deal was, but it was really funny. It was very,
Oh
very
yeah, and
funny.
you kept him in line. You're like,
I did Mother Bear. I was like, okay, don't
Yeah,
be
you kept
sketchy
him
as
in
long as you're
line.
normal. Hmm.
Yeah. No, I wasn't gonna get ripped off by nobody.
Well, I don't know. You bought him cigarettes. I don't know. You know,
It was a trade. It
I
was
don't
a
know
trade.
what. Yeah, he let you escape with your life. I
And
don't know what else.
then where
I don't
was
know what else the trade was.
and then where was the cell phone after the thing? We're like, oh my gosh, where's your cell phone go? So it all turned
Yeah.
out fine, but we played it. We pulled a pretty fast Yui, Florida style.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, that was a hilarious adventure. I hope there's more to come. Maybe on our 10th year, we'll all go to Malaga and that beach where Ference is.
There used
That's
to
a
be a
nice place.
really nice direct flight from Montreal to there, and I think they
Oh,
pulled it because it
really?
was on my list for so long. Because we have a friend who has an Airbnb up in the mountains above you, I think. It's like a 45-minute drive. I think there's mountains above you somewhere, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they had this like place that they found in the on a hike one day, and it was all like let go and nobody was managing it, and they researched who the owner was, and then they bought it and fixed it up. So they have like a rental on the top of this mountain. So it was this, where do you go, the beach area where you live, which I would much prefer than being in the mountain, but
That's all right. We
yeah,
can,
that's how I
I
looked
hope
it
you're
up.
still friends with them.
Yeah, exactly, it's like a pool house kind of place but up in the mountains.
Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, so we're reading Turn the Ship Around. And I don't know how hard you think it is to turn a ship around, but I figure it's really hard. Like in the business sense and a submarine.
Yeah, I don't. How far? Just curious. I mean, it's still very early in the month. How far have people gotten into it at this point?
I think
I'm in part 3 now.
yeah, I think I am too. So I'm almost
It's more
done.
than halfway through. Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to a 15-minute review that covered a lot of it. So, in
Oh,
concept wise, so just
yeah,
trying to get
exactly.
myself around it because I couldn't open it quite yet. But just impactful, like the thought process of, was it lead the leader? Is that, have you guys been
Leader
connected?
as opposed to
Leader,
leader
leader, yeah,
follower. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean the basic premise of the book, which I didn't know. I kind of conceptually expected it, but I didn't really know before reading it. Is a naval submarine captain took control, the leadership role on the Santa Fe, a particular one of the naval subs that was underperforming. And he started to try and introduce changes to the typical command and control, strict military leadership style to try to turn the culture of the ship around. And he talks about the some of the self doubt that he had on the things that he was trying to introduce and the fits and starts of the changes. To conclude that it turned out to be a very successful effort. Um, so I think that's the basic premise of the book.
I mean, yeah, like I wonder. Because I
One
mean,
of the
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the good things in the book so far is that many leadership books are are built up in a way that, okay, I found the secret, I'm giving it to you now, follow these 5 to 10 points, and there you go. While in this one, yeah, I found this, tried it, didn't work, then tried something else, it worked to some extent, then tried this and it worked. So some of the trial and error is in the book, and it's not just an oversimplified, okay, these things will work because it did for me, so here you go, all the knowledge and truth, and the key to success is yours, go. No, there were things that he tried and failed, and yeah, that's an important thing because that happens to most people, trying things and failing. But in many of the books, you don't see the failure part.
Yeah. What a good point.
No, I
One
mean,
of the
to
things I
me,
thought was,
go
oh,
ahead, Michelle.
I was just going to say that one of the things that was pointed out was the concept of saying, I intend to, and then
Oh,
telling somebody
yes.
what you want to do so that you can be empowered to move forward with that, which I found to be a very useful way of explaining to someone in short, this is what's going to happen, as opposed to, I intend to do this, and if anybody has a trouble with that, they can speak up in that minute. And if
Yeah,
they don't, then you go forward.
I thought that was one of the probably the highlight of the book for me. You hit on it, you know. I mean, in a typical military thing, you know, you either get orders or at best you ask permission to do something. You know, and you get told yes or no, and you accept the answer, and you just move on. You don't question authority, and you know, to me, it's really powerful. If you go, you have to say, "I intend to whatever you intend to do," and be ready to answer any questions about the reason and logic behind what you're going to do, and be told very well. And so if you come prepared with an intention of what you want to do, um, you think about that approach in corporations, companies, and that would be very different to me than the classical empowerment things that usually don't go well because people employees don't trust. They might be told that they're empowered, but the culture isn't necessarily completely consistent with all of that empowerment, because the people who went and did something because they felt empowered and got it wrong, all of a sudden are in trouble. If they're not working there anymore. And so yes, I agree, Michelle. That was the if there was one major takeaway from this book for me, that was it. It was that.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And it can be used in many situations. Like, um, I first heard of it from a social worker, like a caseworker. And it was when my mom got into like a really bad accident. And then it's kind of like you have, we have like four siblings, and I bet you it happens at the time of like will executions as well, right? And nobody likes to hear people tell them what to do. So you say, I intend to do this. And then everyone automatically then pitches in what they can do, but it doesn't put any pressure on anyone. Like in a situation like that where it's like caregiving duties, it doesn't give pressure to others what you intend to do. It's just you intend to do it, you do it, and then that's it. And you never say what you think others should do, because I mean that just leads to hostility.
Man, I wish you had told me that about 6 or 7 years ago, Benita. I would have
Aww.
saved that similar situation where you have to like delegate things but not delegate. That approach would have totally worked in a similar situation where it could have it could have been less escalated if people took that approach. So interesting.
Right. So, like, why don't we learn that in kindergarten, I wonder? Or maybe we did and we forgot? I don't think they taught us that
No,
concept.
I think starting with kindergarten, you learned that the teacher was the boss and you
Right.
followed their rules. So it's your first introduction to command and control structures.
Yeah, that part was hard.
Also, the book states that many things, but among that to do this and to run things in his way efficiently, you need competence and clarity. Now, as a 5-year-old, you probably don't have all the competence, right? So there are things that you shouldn't just figure out and intend to do because you will set the house on fire.
So, yeah, good points. This is why I need you guys. Imagine if I read these books and then I was like in my thoughts in my head alone. See, like I wouldn't get this.
I think too that I had to keep reminding myself that the environment, because I mean, at the end of the day, there wasn't anything other than the I intend to and a couple of other things that I go, well, where I reacted to, hey, that's pretty brilliant. That's something I want to highlight in the book. I read and I felt like, okay, this is all good, but I'm not learning a whole lot about leadership. I had to keep reminding myself the environment that he was trying to implement this in. It is so counter to the way the military works.
Mm-hmm.
And he was taking great personal risk because you think about the inspections that the ship is always under, right, from higher ups, and they're seeing, during inspections how different leadership structure is operating than the one they're accustomed to. He was, as opposed to just, following, what he was trained to do as a leader in the military, he followed his instincts as a leader. That takes great courage.
Oh, it does. Great point. I wonder where the Santa Fe is like docked, or did they preserve it? And is it the one that's no, that's like a Russian. There's a Russian submarine in the Bay of San Diego. But yeah, no, they usually make really good museums.
It's according to Google, the Santa Fe is still deployed.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's deployed to the. It started a 6-month deployment to the Indo-Pacific on September 29th.
Wow. I guess like except for like those submarines that are now like nuclear powered, I I I wonder if they just look the same.
Well,
And
this one was a nuclear powered sub.
oh wow,
So
I didn't get that
you're
detail.
dealing with, a non-command and control leadership structure as you're touring around, underwater, with a nuclear reactor on board. Mistakes are fatal.
Yeah. That isn't that interesting, right?
Could any of you be in a submarine and be okay with it? I think I would be claustrophobic the second like knew I was under the water. I think I would have a meltdown. I would not pass the evaluation to be in there whatsoever.
I think if someone explained to me the science of it, I might be okay, but like I get into a crowded room and I want to faint and I have to leave right away. So, and but it's because I think everybody's taller than me, so they're getting all the oxygen and I'm just getting armpits. So
Oh,
if anyone can dispute that, I could stand in a room that was crowded, but I can't.
I just think of the terrible people that led those folks to go see the Titanic, and they like were where it wasn't a thing, where they didn't
Oh,
know what they were doing. I mean,
right.
obviously, a military sub is different, but I think mentally, my brain could not get around being. And then if you take that fear, whatever it is, and then add the fact that the people on board with you have to execute certain things to make sure that everything goes well and everyone's safe. And if you're already under that stress, and obviously you don't sign up to be on a sub unless you can handle it, but man, that would be a real tough one for me. Having other people have control and be under the water in a
Yeah,
tin can. Yeah, I don't think so.
I wonder if they ever found it now. Like they couldn't find it for the longest time, right?
Oh, I
That
don't know. I haven't followed it.
Find
Yeah.
what?
there was that vessel that with that new technology, and it was a bunch of scientists that were warring, and then one of the scientists wanted to like commercialize it and offer trips down to the sunken Titanic to explore as a tour. So like I don't know, like a millionaire and his wife or something boarded, or his son, and they lost contact, which happened like previously. Like the science wasn't proven. None of it was proven, and the parts were just this was just like testing, and it's really weird how he got away with that. But they lost communication, and then it was like the world was like watching this. I think it was on 60 Minutes.
I vaguely remember this story. Yeah.
Yeah, the world was watching as these people had like 10 hours of oxygen left. And it was like after 10 hours and they couldn't be found, is like the US got involved. It was off the coast of Canada in Halifax, right, Michelle? Was it
Yeah,
Halifax?
I don't have the whole details of where. I mean, it went to wherever the Titanic resting spot is, or tried to. I don't
Yeah.
know
Oh,
how
yeah.
far
It was
west it is.
Halifax because the Titanic is right off of there.
Yeah, just knowing that. Yeah, you have to trust. That's the thing. You have to trust these people know what they were doing. Well, it would take an
Yeah.
awful lot more
No.
trust for me to get into something that goes under the ground or under the water.
I see where that's coming from. Yeah. No, I wouldn't get into that craft with unproven science. Just a test.
No.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in anything like that. I can't imagine being in a submarine. I can't, because I mean, you just draw the parallel. Whenever you've been on an airplane and all of a sudden you hit significant turbulence, and you just feel completely powerless, and all you want to do is get the hell off that plane, and you can't do anything about it. Well, put yourself underwater where you can't even, you look out the window and all you see is water.
Yeah. What I get about a submarine is it looks kind of like a nitrogen plant where it's all like valves and pipes and meters, and it's just like it's a plant. It's an underwater plant.
And I mean, if you're of any reasonable height, if you're over 6 feet tall, you can't stand up in most portions
Right.
of
You'd
the
be
ship.
banging your head on everything.
So that's interesting. There's so many spots in the military where that being short statured is in your favor, submarine, and if you're in a fighter jet, there was a keynote speaker at an event I went to probably 5 or 6 years ago now, and she was one of the first fighter jet um, lady pilots, and she said that she was talking about leadership and trust, and she said, well, take it this way, the average age of the ground or the ship crew, the deck crew that are supposed to catch my plane that's coming in would hook the back of me and make sure they catch my plane and bring it on board in the middle of rough seas. Their average age is 19 years old and they get cycled out every 6 months. She's like, so you have to learn to trust a 19-year-old, adult, just barely an adult, with your life and to follow instructions. So this one's like, I intend to do this, and it's like the leadership piece of it. Well, it takes in
Wow.
mind is like how much of the process for an aircraft carrier requires everyone to not go rogue on their own ideas and to follow the protocol, period, or things happen, right? So it's very interesting the
Yeah.
the way that the military operates with some of these things.
Is this just the first time we've read a book that was by like a veteran?
No other one is coming to mind, so I'd have to say.
David Goggins wasn't, right? Or maybe he was. I can't remember. Hmm. But yeah, no.
Well, the other thing too about the book that I had to keep in mind was, he couldn't get away with embellishing anything he was saying because he's using real names of real people in real life situations that could certainly say that that's not the way it happened, buddy.
He probably said, I intend to write this book.
And you will be quiet about it.
Happy fifth
One,
anniversary to you too.
yep. One thing the book does not talk about a lot is how you have this concept, but depending on where you apply it, it can be different. And even if you have one place, you will have a set of people reporting to you, and those people are different, right? So one approach can work with a type of person, and it's all fine. But if you try the exact same approach the exact same way with another person, it might not work because they have a different personality, different background, different thoughts in their head. So what I'm missing a bit from the book so far is, do you need to customize these things depending on the people you deal with, or is it intended to work in all scenarios with everyone all the time?
Yeah, like to what extent do you have to apply like those, the personality tests that we do and know,
And yeah, sorry.
know their personality? I don't know.
Yes, because empowerment is all nice, but there are people who you cannot empower the same way as others.
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't make your way onto a nuclear powered submarine in the military without specialized training to be, to fulfill the role you're on the ship to do. Now, granted, there are going to be, and I'm not going to get the terminology right, but there are going to be, masters at what they do, and there's going to be apprentices, and things like that. I mean, because it's still a training environment because it's real life as opposed to simulation. But if you're if you're the team that's working on making sure the nuclear reactors work, and you're not going to go, hire somebody based on their resume and say, hey, go do it. And so I think, the difference I'm trying to bring out is that in the air quotes real world, of companies, you have various levels of specialization and a lot more on the job training that happens. So, the I intend to's only goes so far. Empowerment only goes so far. But you have to establish. I mean, he's not doing this out of blind trust, right? Because it only not only would he put his career at stake, he put the lives of everybody on that ship at stake. So
Right.
he's taking calculated risk, but it still is extremely courageous. When I think, again, I've said this, but think about the environment he's in. Because if things went wrong, how do you explain yourself to your superiors? Well, they intended to do it, and I said, go ahead. I mean, at the end of the
Was
day,
there a circumstance where someone intended to do something and he was like, "No"? I don't remember that.
I don't remember that, but he would reserve the right to ask questions. Right.
Right.
So if you were intending to do something, he wanted to be sure you knew what you were, the ramifications, that you thought it through. Because he did, in the end of the day, if you're coming to your superior and you're saying, I intend to do X, and after a couple of questions they say very well, the responsibility didn't shift. The person who intended to do it is the one responsible for making sure it's done right. But he's accountable for everything that happens on that ship regardless. And I mean, I've said it, I mean, I had to keep reminding myself how courageous that was in that environment. Because if I read about this and it was just a normal corporate thing, I'd say, oh, it's just another book on empowerment.
Right. It's not the environment to fail fast.
Right. What do you think it teaches corporations about culture change, and like how to grow like a certain culture? Like if you're a CEO, or you're like the HR director or whatever, and you're in charge of culture, then what's it telling you?
I think, to me, it's, you've got to base your leadership approach, the culture of the organization you want, based on your values. And you've got to have a passion about it, because there are times when it's not going to go right or not going to go well. You're going to experience self-doubt, but you have to see it through. Try things, doesn't work, try something else, but still stick to your core values.
Yeah. Do you think that like in a corporate environment, it would be harder to see the ramifications of your decisions, or your like, you know what I mean? Like rather than a submarine, like whatever you do there, whatever switch you press is going to have almost instantaneous consequences. But in a corporation, it's like change happens so slowly. Like, how do you measure?
Well, if you're the CEO for a company where all your employees are in one physical location, I mean, that's what happened. What's going on this ship, right? All your employees are in one physical location. You have a lot more ability to control a situation, but corporations today, companies today, have people all over a country, all over the world, different locations, different, um, and so there's all these microcultures that exist within the company that there's just so much you can do from the top down, to affect the culture in an organization when it's such a distributed environment.
That's a good point.
He could do this on one ship, because it was, all the employees were in one physical location. But if he moved up another level and tried to institute it across multiple ships when he wasn't physically on those ships, it would be a completely different result.
Right. I'll work on your submarine remotely.
You sunk my battleship.
Too funny. So, it's almost like we should be reading 2 books per month. But then it would only be like you and Ferenc that had read the book.
Yeah, I think that's too aggressive for something like this. There is something that was in the forward by Stephen Covey, that I highlighted that I really liked. It says, it's on page XXI in the forward, Roman numeral 21. You may be able to buy a person's back with a paycheck, position, power, or fear. But a human being's genius, passion, loyalty, and tenacious creativity are volunteered only.
Wow.
Right? You can buy conformance, you can buy loyalty, you can buy someone doing what you tell them to do because they have power over you. But you can't buy passion, you can't buy creativity, you can't buy any of that. And that's a different environment that you have to create.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, through the, all of the decades upon decades of command and control structures within companies, that management consultants have made so much money trying to train organizations on doing something different, but nothing really changed in the culture or the leadership approaches. And it just felt like the program du jour, the program of the day, and employees just look at it and go, if we ignore it long enough, it'll go away.
Right.
It usually does.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why there's these transformations and these redesigns that never happen.
They happen, but nothing really changes.
Yeah, they happen over a long period of time and with like tons of money thrown at it, but the change doesn't ever happen. Yeah, like,
and it's never as simple, because you can awaken the passionate employee from some people, but some people just won't care. So you can have all the programs in your hands, and it won't work if the wrong people are filling certain seats. And one good takeaway, there are many in the books, but one really good thing is that where he emphasizes that the culture where you're focusing more on not committing mistakes, it can be It's not the environment where you develop and where you grow and where you can excel. It's an environment where you can survive and do stuff, but you will never excel. And that goes outside the corporate environment. You will never excel if you just focus on doing fewer mistakes.
Totally. What a great feeling when you know that your team or your leader, um, trusts you enough to make those mistakes and then is there to help you like fix it. Like I think I've only had that once in my career. It's not it's not the norm.
There's some, I don't know if this is really true, but there's some folklore IBM story going way back where somebody was given responsibility for doing something and they spent millions of dollars and they made, it was just a total disaster. And they were called into the boss's office, the CEO's office, I assume, fully expecting to get fired. And they go, fired? Why am I going to fire you? I just spent millions of dollars training you. You won't make that mistake again.
Oh, geez.
So, as we're kind of coming to the end of the hour, my overall opinion of the book, we'll talk about this more on the next call when everybody who's reading it has a chance to finish it. But, when it was like 4.7 rating on Amazon, and I want to say 4 or 5 or whatever it was on Goodreads, I was expecting a lot more. It raised my expectations to the level where maybe it was unfair, but you don't see ratings like that often, especially on books that have thousands upon thousands of reviews. And so I guess I was a little, it was not a bad book. I'm glad I read it. I learned some things. I highlighted some things. It reinforced some things in my mind, but I don't see how those ratings, when it's an average rating that high, that it got that high.
Too bad Steven wasn't here. I bet you he would have some idea.
It wasn't a riveting page turner. I could put it down at any point and say, I'll get back to this tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I get the feeling that, writing a book is not the hardest thing. The hardest thing is to market it and to get it out there and get as many readers as you can on board and all that stuff.
Yeah, and as for the rating, I think it's subjective in a way that if you have read 500 leadership books before, you will have a different opinion of this one than if this is the second leadership book that you are reading, because then you will have 20 more aha moments during the book and a lot of realizations that you have probably made in the past 10 years if you have been reading a couple of other books on the topic. So that could influence the ratings as well.
Well, I imagine that he probably does keynotes to like big audiences. And then if I were him, I would be like, at the end of my keynote, I would be like, here's my book. If you read it, I'd really appreciate 5 stars, which is what you're supposed to do as an author, remember? And especially like on Amazon or whatever, because it counts more and it brings the ratings up.
But to your point too, Benita, it has been extremely marketed well. When you get, Stephen Covey
And Simon Sinek
you get quotes from Simon Sinek on the back cover. You get a quote from Fortune on the front cover. You go to Amazon and there's some quote from USA Today, that it's the best book ever.
Yeah.
I think it's a good book and a useful read. Is it a 5? So far, for me, no. But it's not a bad book at all. It's a good read. Is it the best ever book I have read? No.
No.
But I will find it out because I have to still have a few chapters left. So who knows? Yeah, the ratings are setting high expectations. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There are 22,000 reviews just on Goodreads,
The last
which
thing
is
I
crazy.
highlighted was on page 81.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing else is dog-eared or highlighted.
Okay. So
That's just me.
for
I'm pretty critical.
I'm glad. We need you. Did we decide? So we've already decided the dates. Like I kept on thinking to myself this week, I'm going to end this book club now so we can